Hello everyone, welcome back to today's studio hub, and I'm your host for today's session. So this is the podcast where we talk about real estate insights, market trends, and opportunities that you can't afford to miss. In today's episode, we'll be diving into how you can analyze great property deals in Lagos and give answers to frequently asked questions that we've been getting from our clients. You will also learn how to spot genuine return on investment, what documents matter the most, and quick tips to avoid costly mistakes. So this is our property life talk section, and our main topic for today are the challenges and mistakes that clients face when acquiring properties and expert solutions to those problems. So with me here, I have my co-host, Mr. Tochukwu, who will be answering most of the questions that we have right here on the show. So please introduce yourself to the viewers. Mr.
Thank you so much, Mary, for this opportunity for us to be here. Of course, today we are delighted to be on this platform. It's been a pleasure each time for our audience and viewers watching around the world, particularly in Lagos. We want to thank you. So, today is something so important for investors, entrepreneurs, um, real estate agents, brokers, lawyers. We're going to be talking something so important because most of people, just like my host has introduced um, at the beginning, the challenges, mistakes. And of course, we're going to be offering you the expert solutions that will help you to acquire properties in any part of the world without having any encumbrance. So, for those who are watching, probably your hands might have been burnt, maybe in one way or the other. You've been, one time or the other, faced with challenges of wrong documentation when you acquire property, whether it is land, whether it is house, or anything, or whether you are buying off plan and all of that. So leave it for my host to begin with the first questions, and we will have opportunity to take you step by step and help you to invest with peace of mind. Thank you.
Okay, so on today's session, the number one question that we have right here, which is the questions, like a general question actually, is that what are the common challenges that people face when buying a property?
All right, thank you so much, Mary. So, for you, if you are a first-time property buyer or you have been buying property, that means you have gotten some knowledge and experience of how to acquire property rightly. Listen, it's you are saving. You've worked hard to secure money, this capital. And then when you want to pull out your capital and to put it into real estate, you have one thing is it to make return on investment, what we call ROI. So for you, the common mistakes, the challenges include unclear land titles. Of course, when you want to buy uh, property or land, you'll be faced with unclear land titles. What we mean is that you do not understand the history, the owners of those, or the owner of those uh, properties, be it land already built properties. So you need to be guided against fake agents. They're going to be fake agents. There's no sector that is immune from unscrupulous elements in the society. What they mean is those who capitalize on the ignorance of uh, potential buyers and they fall into their hands. Some of them will take their money and they will not be able to offer service that they agreed upon. Boundary disputes, there are some locations around, especially in the third world, we're talking about, particularly in Nigeria, where we are hosting or speaking to you directly. Many people has or have lost a lot of millions and billions of capital income to wrong due to land disputes. In fact, some places it leads to communal clashes. They lead sometimes to even loss of lives. So those are the things we're talking. So what we're talking about today is very, very important and very crucial for those who are watching us to be guided. So some another issues are hidden charges. So sometimes you go into property, for example, they tell you, oh, the land is say 200 million, And then they will not tell you that you're going to pay something like agency fee, legal fee, or probably some other government charges, depending on the source where you're acquiring those properties. For example, if you're buying from a developer, there is also some service charges, probably you're renting houses and all that. And then delays from developers. Depends, like I said, circumstances varies. So as we go on into this podcast interviews, then interview, you will be able to, we will be taking them one after the other. So many buyers, especially first-time buyers, they also struggle with improper documentations and verifying the authenticity of a property, whether it is genuine, there are some fake documents. Sometimes you might not be able to differentiate that. Then you need to be guided against this. So as we go along, I believe my host will be able to, as the question comes, we'll have opportunity to dig more into some of those things. Thank you.
Okay, so how can a buyer avoid falling victim or scam to fake titles? Like, how can they conduct the due diligence and ensure that they do not fall victim to scam agents that are trying to scam them of acquiring property and all that?
Okay. So always, first thing and foremost, we're always in a hurry to get things done. Depends on your own situation. But it's very important that you do due diligence. Due diligence requires you to verify the authenticity of every piece of document given to you by either the agents, as the case may be, some places or some parts of the world, we call it broker. So when a broker puts up, or real estate agents, for example, we TD homes and real estate in our own case. So we carry out due diligence. What do we mean by due diligence? We conduct due diligence to find out who are the owners of the title, whether the title names or the name in the title. Sometimes you have joint title or single owner's title. So those single owner's title, you go to the place land office. Okay, so you go to land office to be sure whether the land is registered with the land office, and then of course you verify whether the title in the land office is the same thing with the document you're giving to. Okay, so and then of course you involve surveyor, professional surveyor. Of course, request for original documents to cite it, because at that moment, when you want to buy a property, whether it is house or land, so you seek for the basic information, so photocopy, because they will not avail you with the original because you've not paid for that property. So the title document you're going to ask is the deed, of course, the survey plan. That survey plan will indicate the land, geographical land mapping and grading of that particular property. So, and then of course, you rely on those verbal assurances. Of course, there will anybody who is selling or anybody who is marketing property will package it in a way that it will attract the potential buyer. So, but before you make any payments, so you need to do what we call land search. Land search is, you can do it by yourself by going to, for example, in Lagos State, you go to Alausa. At Alausa, you have land registry office. In that land registry office, you walk in, and then with your copy or authorization, if you are an agent or broker representing your buyer. So you walk in, you ask for a request. There are some that requires you pay some certain charges from the government for them to give you those documents, like title, whether the deed is registered. If you are buying a property, you need to find out whether the title and the deed, the survey, they are registered. If they are not registered, then it makes the case more complicated. Okay, so because they are required for the government to be aware of every existing property or land in different jurisdiction, whether it is in Abuja, whether it is in Enugu, Port Harcourt, or any part of Nigeria, or whether it is London, whether it is in US or New York or Canada or Toronto. Every municipality or local government and the state, of course, every land goes into the states. States are the one that takes care of the land. So you go to the land office with those documents and then present it to the workers in those offices, and then they will be able to check and track and read those documents and give you feedback. Some of them you can get it instantly, response. Some might take a while for them to trace and get back to you before you proceed with your payment. And of course, if you are not available, you have a representative, it is advisable that you consult with a lawyer in that case. And the lawyer, not just anyhow lawyers. What I mean is there are some real estate lawyers that are professional, and they went to the university, they read law regarding real estate cases. So when you're engaging lawyers, be very sure to select those who are the expertise are in that sector, not just anyhow lawyer, so that you'll be guided. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we still have more questions to ask.
Yes.
And then one of them is also like, what are the key documents that a buyer should always request for before they pay for any property? Documents that they need to verify, and like documents that they are going to get after purchasing the property that they need to verify before they acquire that property.
All right. This is very important question that you asked. The key documents include the survey plan, like I said in my response to your question. So you look at the deed of assignment, of course, exception of gazette, if applicable. So there are some lands that belong to government. Of course, every land belongs to government. So some of those government, they are giving authority to the individual or group of people to be able to own that land. So in doing that, the government of that particular location or place or state or federal will gazette that land, meaning they have given the power, to that piece of property. So if you are buying the one that has gazette, the government gave authority, delegate the authority to individual to be able to manage, own that particular land or property. So that's when you have the section of that land. So the government have given it out. The government might probably have a particular use of that land, but they have given the authority to say, okay, individual or group of people or family can also own this land. Of course, you look at the certificate of occupancy, what we call CFO. If a land or a house has a CFO, sometimes you need to cite the original and, of course, a copy of that CFO to go to the land office, like I said before, to verify the genuineness of that particular document or governor's consent. So you could have CFO or governor's consent. So when you have a situation, maybe as we go along, I will differentiate the CFO and then or governor's consent. How they are all almost on equal level, but there are cases where you have CFO and then you have or governor's consent. So you request for receipts, like we're discussing receipts from the family, the contract of sale, and then property layout. In that receipts, if buying from an estate developer. So if you're buying a land, for example, different estates in different locations, you need to ask for proper information, like the property layout or the estate layout. Every estate has a layout. Those layouts where you talk about where they're going to be the building areas, okay? They map out the building areas. And also you also have places for recreational areas, like you have football, you have gym house, you have table tennis courts or courts, and then you also have places like pharmaceutical areas, that is shopping mall. So when you want to buy from a real estate developer, you ask for the layout of everything, the drainage areas, electricity plan, security areas, all those things are contained in those documents. And of course, if the estate is approved by the government, it's also important that you be guided regarding that area. So those are the things you ask for. So once you are satisfied with those documentation, then you proceed with the proper offer letter, to the seller of those property. And then once you're good, you go ahead and consummate with the transaction.
Okay. So there is a question that I have personally, aside from the question that we prepared right here.
Yes.
Because we've seen cases whereby even influential people that know much about real estate,
Yes.
also whereby their buildings are being demolished, even though it's in a prime area, places that they mapped out
Yes.
before it was allocated to them, before they pay for the property. All of a sudden, the government just come and then they demolish those buildings. Is it that there are mistakes that they overlooked when they were acquiring the property and then building on that land, or are there sudden changes in that environment that could cause the government to just come and then demolish people's property all of a sudden, because it has been happening recently? So can you speak on that for our viewers?
Yes, this is one of the, in fact, most people might have developed hypertension or even death. It's unfortunate situations and nobody want to witness that what I see now. In fact, I know most of our audience are watching us right now might be victim of what you're saying. Okay, so the thing is, acquiring land or property is not like the way we buy other assets or other kind of things that possession of material things. It goes beyond that because by owning a property, you have the legal rights. In fact, there was a time, I think whether it's in UK or thereabout, that once you have a property, you have the right to vote initially in the
Recently, like how many years ago has that been?
It's been a long time. I think it was in the UK, Britain law, that they said before you can vote in or be voted for, you must have property
As a resident of that country or
as a
not
resident.
resident?
Yes, whether you are a resident or non-resident, you must have a property acquired or has your name. So that gives you the right
To vote.
to vote.
So if I'm not a citizen of the UK
Yes,
and I have a property in the UK,
yes,
I have people that are managing the property,
yes,
and it's time for election in
yes.
the UK, so I have a right to vote as long as I have a property there, even though I'm not a citizen or a resident of the UK.
By you acquiring property with your name, meaning you have legal right to live in that country. But it's not no longer applicable now. But at the beginning, the early time of the development, so laws are evolving, so policies are evolving. So then let me go back to what you said. It's like demolitions of properties and then illegal constructions and all that. Before a government comes to demolish property, I want to be honest here. I do not have anything to do with government, but I don't want to be emotional. I want to be factual on what I'm saying. So before you want to build or the government comes to demolish property, they would have been later served. First, they will mark it. They will give a marking on the wall or any place, and then sometimes they drop a notice. And on that notice, they will state you are default. Okay. So when they say that, you have opportunity to approach their particular agency. For example, you have Last Banker and all other controlling in Lagos State. So every state of the federation have their own different agencies that handle controlling constructions, buildings, compliances, and all that. So when you are served, you're expected to go approach them. Maybe probably they do not have their record in their own data or registry or register. So they will come to you with those laws and then serve you, whether from your contractor or your engineer. Okay, so you're expected to go and meet them and then reconcile your rights so that it will not be breached. So, but sometimes when you approach them, they might not, some might be too complicated. Okay, they may not be open for discussion because already the standard is that before you even go to mobilize to site, you could have gotten building approval. So, but because of the complex nature or the bureaucracy of Nigerian doing things, especially some states, so you find out that to get approval takes longer time. Probably some states is over a year or more. So it's not something you apply, you get approval. So some people resort to self-help. What I mean by self-help, they don't want to wait. They want to start building instantly. So they mobilize to sites and start building or laying foundations and even move to the first floor or probably the ground floor without approval from the government, building approval. So what government does is they will come, they will mark. So when they mark, you approach them. There are some that are friendly that they will give you room to either fine you because already you have violated the
The law.
procedure, yes, the law. So they will fine you penalty, and then you go to make payments and then regularize your documents. So if you have not gotten approval, they will tell you to suspend work. And then when you suspend work, you go to regularize the document that you have that enable you that number one, you are the original owner of this place, and then you have documentation, you bought this land legally from the original owner of the property. So once they do all those due diligence, the next thing is they'll give you the charge, how much you're going to pay. You'll be given building approval plan.
It's fine.
If after you pay fine because already you violated the law. So they will charge everything. So you go and pay for for the penalty. So after the penalty, you now come for them to read and then look at your building what they call there is a building plan.
So
The building plan that has a structure. Okay, the structure of what kind of building do you want, what floor, what are the things, space for car park, space for driveway, the drainage, everything about the land. They will check it to make sure you comply with the every set of how many floor, what plans do you have for this? Is it residential? Is it commercial? So what are the things you have put in place, to make sure that you have a very standard building that comply with the Nigerian building code. Okay, so these things are all over the world. It's only in third world that you see somebody will mobilize the site without having an approval. In other places, it's not you dare not do that because everything works in order. And of course, you will know the right time, how many months or the period of duration for you to get approval, and they know the right time for you when you apply. So because there are things work so slow in Nigeria, for example,
the processing of documents.
the documentation, some people try to invade it. They try to run away from that. So, but the consequences is will result to demolition. Okay? Excuse me. It will result to demolition. So they will demolish the property. Sometimes they will demolish it, and sometimes they will give the opportunity to regularize, depending on the circumstances. So, what do we do first is you will be able to come into the so you'll be able to come into the office, land office, and then do the needful. The needful is get your documentation, get all the necessary approvals, and then you file, and then they will give you the fine. You pay to the government, and then after that, the building approval, and then looking at the structural plan, looking at all the dimensions, looking at all the setbacks and all that, and then you have approval. And for those that have demolished, meaning they have violated, they refuse to hit to the appear, or they appear, they don't want to a quick resolutions to the issues. Probably they are claiming that they are right, meanwhile they are not right. Or some of them are highly placed individuals that have connections. I'm talking about the third world, how things work. We're not here to paint picture. We are being real. So some people have influential people that they can call, and then they will tell them to go ahead, and then they will go and settle whatever the things they need to settle. But there are people who do not have that right or don't have that privileges. So those people, they will stop work, and sometimes they will not even give them opportunity to come and explain themselves. So they will lead to demolition. Or before they demolish any property, there might have been series of notices from government to the owners or to the engineers or the construction managers or whoever that's in charge. So after they fail to appear, sometimes it takes a couple of months or probably a year or even over a year, but they will give you those opportunities. If you fail, that's why they will give you final notice. That final notice, they will paste it on the wall.
So the notice comes one after another.
Yes, different, so step by step on different agencies. So some people will pay deaf attention to those notices, and they still continue with the building. And sometimes it could be from the engineers or those the architects or whoever that is in developers. They will say that no problem, we can sort it out. But sometimes government will be very rigid. They could be not mean, and they will not give the opportunity to correct what you have defaulted. So they will just go ahead and pull down. And then some other issues that make it is if it's a land is what we call known acquisition and free from acquisition. What we mean is that if a land is free from acquisition, meaning government do not have interest on that land. Okay? If a property or land, whether the original owner built it by default or by mistakes, and then they went and built on a particular land that has government has interest, meaning that land is not free from acquisition, government acquisition or non-government acquisition. You will see a property document, they will write free from non-government acquisition, meaning government does not have any future development plan, so they have relieved the authority to the people that owns that land or the family. So if you have the one that has some government acquisition land, that's why it is very important, like the first question you asked me, to go to the land office, verify, do due diligence before you make payment. If not, either now or in the future, you're going to have issues. So those are the things. So when, for example, people encroach on lands, either from government or families, and the family could report, most times they will report, some families or neighborhood can report to the government, write petitions. I've been a victim to that, whereby my neighbor, my early stage in Lagos State land acquisition. So I bought a piece of land and then not knowing that the residents, okay, do not want to be that place to be built. But the family, which is in Lagos State or Monile, who has the land, even the fact their dad was buried in by the site, the grave of the man is still there. But the residents of that close say they don't want that place to be built. And they will reposition to the Lagos State government. So in that area, government are not the one that has issue with the builder. So it was the residents, the landlord or landladies that wrote. And of course, when they wrote the petition, government will act on the petition from wherever it's coming from. So when they came, of course, they have to do their work. They either look at it, whether there will be room to tell you, if you want to build like one first floor or first floor, they will tell you to build like a bungalow in order to accommodate the concerns of the people living in that area. So everything work, chain of events or chain of work. So building a property or buying a property is not something you just wake up and do. So you need to work with an expert. That is why we are talking about this. So don't just stay in diaspora, throw your money in with somebody who does not have records, they don't have office, they don't have, even sometimes people buy through families or friends. Nothing wrong with that. But your family, somebody who has never had money of 10 million or 100 million, then you all of a sudden you put in 100 million. Temptation is going to come. Okay? They'll be tempted to touch that money. That money does not belong to them. And that's why it's a risk, highly risk. And I'm not saying you should not invest with your brothers or sisters. If you trust them, go ahead. But they might have done something that you trust them from 5 million, 2 million, then 1 million. So if they can deliver on that, then you can trust them. Trust is built gradual. So it's not like you wire 100 million to somebody who has not seen 100 million since they were born. It's a tendency that the person will be tempted to touch that money. After all, you are his or her brother. So that's what we find in different cases. And then they might not even be able to do due diligence because they don't want to pay the lawyer. They don't want to pay the agent, the broker, who will carry out due diligence to go and search or go and see whether government has interest in that land. So for example, the one that happens at Ajawa State recently or a few years ago, that land belonged to federal government, Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. People have been living there for decades. But some of them started living there when they were young. And development is coming in every day. You see level of development from different sectors. So governments are growing, so development is coming in. So they're growing and expanding. And then they start to look for where does people have taken over the land of government without authorization, proper authorization. So they will come and demolish that land. So when they came to that, unfortunately, people who invested billions or millions of naira property was demolished because they did not go through the right channel to get approvals, because they would be no approval. It's the farmland, the Federal Authority of Nigeria, land, airport land, Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. So you buying that land is a risk, and that's one of the things we try to mitigate when we are guiding our customers, investors, or those who are buying whether offline land, houses, to make sure that we carry out the due diligence and then give you the honest opinion. And then the way to, if it is, even if the one that has some kind of wrong documentation, we could be corrected before you go ahead and make payment. So for those who have been affected by demolition, it's either your engineer did not inform you, because when it happens to me, my engineer informed us. So we are able to negotiate. But before we conclude the negotiation, they went and demolished. So, and then before we have to go to now start afresh, and then they give us what they can approve for that space of land. And then it was not something, it's the worst experience that can happen to anyone, because it will look like suicidal mission. You could even go mad because it's your saving, and then you saw your saving go down the drain, level up just within a second. And of course, trust our people. Authority, when you say government, there's no government, it's a lie. The day you will try to go violate any law, you will know that there's government. So we see those things every day. So what you need is make sure you do the right thing first. First thing first, do the diligence, verify documentations, and then go to the government land office. Do all that you need to do so that you can be able to go. All right.
Okay, so what exactly are the due diligence steps that every buyer should follow when they are in the process of acquiring the property, like
Yes.
before they even pay for the property? What are those due diligence steps that we should follow? We should seek and follow.
Okay, so just like we said on our opening of our podcast today, and I want to also seek for those who are watching us. If you like what we're doing, please, you can comment. You can also put your
Yes, and also if you have questions, you can drop your questions in the comment box. We'll read
Correct.
them out and answer them
Correct.
as well.
So yes, just like we are talking about, these things are very important. I know some of our diaspora sisters and brothers are going through a lot. A lot of them land have been confiscated, and then they are going through a lot. The investments gone, and so on and so forth. So you see those things happening on a regular basis. And my advice for anybody who wants to go for investment, either for personal use or to invest to resell, that is, you buy, then you allow it to appreciate, and then you resell it. Please do not be in a hurry. Do due diligence. Make sure, even though you are not available, that they show you one, the software plan, deed of assignment, receipt. The receipt may come from, if you are buying from the owner, the first buyer of that land, they will have the survey, they will have the deeds, and then of course they will have the family receipts. Okay, so when they have that family receipt, it shows that the family or the head of the family, and sometimes you may have family receipt that is issued by somebody who is not authorized by that family to represent them. So you need to find out, because some families might be having some conflicts. So another person will jump a division among the families, brothers and sisters.
And the change in power.
Yes, exactly. So you need to know that who is the current head, or who was the head when that land or that transaction happened. To be sure you have a historical fact. So once you have that family receipts, and then you have the CFO, if the land has a legal CFO or governor's consent. So, for example, if you are buying from the first owner, what you have is CFO. But if the land has been resold by the first owner to the second owner now, so you have consent, governor's consent, meaning the governor has sanctioned that transaction from the original owner who got a certificate of occupancy, and then now has that title, which is the final legal document that authorizes him to own and use the land for whatever purpose he or she wants for it. But if he or she decided to resell it, transfer the rights, there must be offer negotiations and transfer of those title documents to the new buyer. So the new buyer will now have to go to the government with the, of course, I might have gotten family receipts, and then the family will issue him or her the letters, and there will be ceremony, because this thing is like marrying a wife. Buying a land or property is just the way you marry, because that thing is from the ages. Land is an asset. So that asset meaning it is something that is valuable, and it's something that appreciates over time. So it is something that you cannot just immovable property. Once it is there, it's there. So what you will continue to enjoy is that the ownership, whatever that accrues from that land. So you don't want anybody to come one day and start giving you problems, or litigation can happen. You know, we've seen land that litigation takes place from the state to the federal, high court, Supreme Court, you know, and then at the end of the day, the Supreme Court will take a decision based on the facts before them. So if they verify that the land does not belong to the new buyer, maybe you wrongly go and acquire a land that has a dispute, that the documents are not right. So there's likely that they will be able to make a decision, and then that land will be revoked. They will revoke it, and then the new owner or whoever is laying claim to the property will take over the land. And that's why I've seen cases of abandoned cases whereby somebody bought from a family, you know, and the family now, another family, maybe that one is deceased, and then the new one went ahead and resold that land or that house to another person without the consent of the original owner. Maybe that owner was not available. And I always advise people, you have a land, you have a house, please make sure that you always check on that land, so that if there's anything suspecting going on there, you could easily make alerts the appropriate agencies to redress whatever issues. Okay, so what I'm talking about is that some people will buy land, they will not consult with the family original owners of that land, because every land has a history. The people that God has given as ancestral land. Okay, so some people will just go and buy without finding out who are the owners of the original owners. It's what their forefathers have labored to build. So you're coming in to acquire it. So what you do is, we normally take our customers or our buyers and investors to the Omolile's family. So on that Omonile family, they will celebrate, and then they will charge you, you negotiate, and then pay them what is due to them. But some people will invade all those things. They don't want to do that. Okay, maybe they are highly connected, or they think that it's not necessary. It's necessary that you are paid from the person who sold the land to you or house to you. Does not mean you will not do the needful. The needful is go to the family, introduce yourself, tell them you are the new owner of this land or this house. So they will charge you for some things, you know, you pay, negotiate, and they will also issue a document. In fact, some states in Nigeria, for example, the government will not even give you a consent without a family receipt showing that they are aware of this transaction and you are the legal owner of this property. So in that way, they will be able to issue you consent, governor's consent, because you are acquiring it from someone. So they're not going to issue you 3 or 4 twice. It is issued once, and once from the original owner. The other people will have consent documents, and that's how it is all done in Nigeria. In other client, I don't know, but it's almost the same thing. Land everywhere acquisition have procedures that are followed before you be able to acquire land. I also learned, even when I was in Canada, that they do the same thing. You go to the family or the owners of the land, they will give you documentations, and then you have set for the land, and they do land registry. It's the same thing. But sometimes we here, we are always in a hurry in this part of the world to get things done. So we're not asking for the right document. And even sometimes you have a land, for example, like what they're asking me, sometimes you have a land that has court case. Maybe it has been litigated upon. But the person that filed case or the original owner won at the court. So the court gave the land or the property to the owner. So you have a case of court case document as title. So they are valid. All you need is to look at which of the courts. See the highest court in the land, because there's still room for litigation to the Supreme Court. So if it is maybe a federal high court or state high court gave an order telling this land belongs to Mr. ABC, so there's still room for them to litigate. I've seen that happen. The land or property people bought for years, all of a sudden they don't know that that land or property is being litigation is still going on while they are living in that land. Before you know, the Supreme Court or the Federal High Court will give a judgment, and that once you have a judgment, they will execute that judgment, and then you see people losing their property. So, in order not to avoid that, please do not look at it for those who are watching us. These things are the things we handle every day. So, what we try to do is to do the due diligence and to make sure that you invest right, and then in and live or do business or even rent your properties with or anywhere in the world that you want to buy property. We have team, even though it's not in Nigeria, it could be in the UK. In fact, by 7th of December, we're going to be having a live podcast with our partner.
On the 7th or
17th, pardon me.
17th.
Yes, 17th, whereby we'll be sharing very important information about how you can invest and buy and acquire property in the UK, by through mortgage. You can buy and pay bit by bit for over a period of time. So our partner, the rep of NPP residential in the UK, Mr. Andre, will be digesting on that. For some of them who are living in the UK or you are in Nigeria and you want to expand your portfolio, real estate portfolio, to earn in pounds while you're still in Nigeria, whether you're a resident or non-resident. On the 17th, we're going to be discussing on that. So why we're doing this today is for the indigenous investors in Nigeria. And these things are very important because I'm sharing from the level of experience, not what you read on paper or on the book. I'm talking about, I have experience building demolition. And so I know what it means. And I know the amount of money was wasted. Even I have bought the one that after some couple of years, the person somebody came out and said they're the owner of the land. Some of them we have to live. If you look at the land, it's not something you go to start wasting your money. Yeah. And you can move on. So that's the risk. Some people say, no, I don't want to invest in Lagos State. Or no, I don't want to buy in Nigeria. I better buy overseas. Listen, you have your foreign currency there. You have pounds, you have dollar, you have euro. What a best time to invest in Nigeria. Because if you want to buy, for example, maybe 400 to 500,000 US or Canadian or euro or maybe 300 or 250 pounds. Do you know the prime location you will buy that property in Nigeria when you have the 250 million?
It kind of feels that even the government will not disturb you.
That's right. Just like we're talking about one of the estates we went yesterday for inspection at Orange Island. Yes. How much was it?
Yes, the property currently at the moment, although it might increase later, but as it is currently, exactly. It can still get it ranges from 450 upward. Yeah, 450 to 470 at the moment.
Exactly.
But we know that before the year comes to an end, there will probably be an increase. So whoever that wants to get a property there can still buy right now.
Correct.
But we hope that there will be an increase in value, a return on investment on the money you're investing in that land.
Exactly.
And it's a very secured area that even the government is in partnership with the owners of the place.
Exactly.
So there are no issues of title documents.
Correct.
Or disturbance or demolition because it's an enclosed area.
Exactly.
Already. Exactly. So it's a very safe place for people to invest in. Absolutely. At the moment, even before the year runs out, because by next year 2020 there will be so many developments in the area and then it will be so hard to secure a spot there. Correct. But right now it will be better for most people to invest in.
Absolutely, just like she said, the most secure place, Lekki Phase 1, right?
Yes.
Lekki Phase 1 by Admiralty Way off Freedom Way. The perfect place. So if you're buying places like that, and you have probably you have 100,000 pounds or 100,000 euro, that will secure that place for you. You can, and you pay at once and own the property. Everything is done.
Yes, there are offices in the place.
Correct.
On the island, they said there are offices whereby you just enter and they make an inquiry, check the document, verify the document, and then they hand everything over to you.
Exactly. Those are the kind of investment you go. So for people buying, you need to go to the right place. So if you say, "Oh no, I don't want to buy," is it every houses they are demolishing in Lagos? No. And then you ask those who are handling them, did they give them warning? There must be warning. Like I said, my own builder, they gave him warning, but he did not show it to me. For whatever reasons, he was busy making calls, telling me that he will handle it. At the end of the day, what happened? He could not handle it when the government came. So they will give you fake impression that they will handle it. Leave those people. Go to the right people and make sure that you have proof that those documents have been issued by government and the penalties are paid. And if it is the one that they will tell you that the government want to use this land, my brother, my dear sister, don't buy, because tomorrow government will come after that land. It might not be now. It might not be the government of this present governor. It might be another government that will come, because government is continuing. So the one day that we need that land, they will not pity anybody. They're going to demolish it, unfortunately. And then that's why to some places or some other countries, they will give opportunity to maybe reallocate the land, another land, where the government work. But in some part of the world, they do not do that. They will just go ahead when you are sleeping. We've seen cases where people are sleeping, and then not before they wake up, they demolish their properties, which is very, very unfortunate. And they will lose everything they've known since their life. So those are the kind of thing we are talking about here. So for you to buy right, you can buy off plan. Okay. Off plan, we have one. What is going on right now?
Um, for off-plan properties, we have some at on the island, mainly in Lekki Phase 1.
Yes.
We have some that are going for as low as 120.
Yes.
So right there, you can own a duplex.
Yes.
2 bedroom, three
Correct.
bedroom, 4 bedroom duplex,
Exactly.
whether semi-detached or fully detached. There are so many properties in the area. So you
Yes.
can buy for as low as that, and then they'll continue to build and develop the area. And by the time the property, like the construction is complete,
Yes.
you see that the value that other people are going to be getting it when the construction is complete, you see that you like made a big return on your investment,
Exactly.
because there will be so many return on investment on it. It's going to be huge. The gap in the percentage is going to be very, very massive.
Honestly, just like I said, it's massive. This orange island we're talking about, some people bought it 100 and something million.
Yes. At the beginning, it was sold for like 100 plus.
Exactly.
And then in the space of, I don't think it's up to 2 years yet.
Exactly.
It moved up to 200 million.
Yes.
Then it moved to 300 million.
Yes.
And currently is at 400 plus.
That's
So
it.
before the end of the year or beginning next year, we'll be looking at 500 million plus for the
Exactly.
same plot of land.
Exactly. So that's what we're talking about. That's why it is an asset. It's called an asset. The rich play this game very well. The wealthy, they play this game. They will never tell you. They won't give this information we're giving. And that's why, because we're passionate about our people growing wealth. And that's why you see Mary, myself, and then of course our team. And then we do not just end there by local investments. We also want people to expand their portfolio by tapping into the UK, Canada, and US property opportunities to grow their wealth. Infinite returns. Imagine you buy 100 and something million. Now you're already richer by 300 and something million.
Yes, imagine if you have like a graph constructed in, and then
Correct.
you see the rates at which the margin is.
Yes, the growth. Yes, the appreciation. Like we were in Ikoyi. What did they say to rent a 5 bedroom?
Not even just a 5 bedroom, even as small as an office space in Ikoyi, they are paying per square meter.
Yes.
Not even like a whole plot. You're paying per square meter. And imagine buying an office that you pay 850,000 naira per square meter.
Exactly.
By the time you like measure out a plot from it,
Yes.
you're looking at about 450 square meter or 500 square meter and above. Then you multiply it by 850,000 naira per square meter. These are developed properties.
Exactly.
These are developed properties already, and it's not a matter of maybe. By next year or in 2 years' time, we know that property is going to appreciate. Yes,
that's right.
It's going to appreciate, and then the rate at which you get it now, you will not be able to get such property at that rate.
Absolutely.
By that time.
Absolutely. That's why when you drive at Ikoyi or Banana Island, you still see some free plots of land.
Yes.
Those people acquired that at a very, if not thousands, then when the currency was still very stable. Even if some of them they bought it maybe when we were using pounds. In Nigeria, we were using pounds for British pound. So during the colonial eras and the rest of them, so shillings and all of that. So they bought that in a very low amount of money in Ikoyi. Then the whole of those areas were bushy areas. Look at today. They are billionaires. Those properties over there is no longer millionaire. They are billionaires.
Yeah, they're billionaires.
So they are $1 billion nairas. And then one we are doing now, they're giving us $70,000 per year, and they're to pay like 2 years or 3 years.
And this is for rent.
And this is for rent,
not for sale.
Not for sale. So when you see the rich playing this game, they will not tell you what they are playing. They know what asset is, because from assets you can use it as a collateral. You can use it to, continue to build, incrementally. You build an infinite return on investment, and that's what we're talking about here. So some of you are watching and listening to our discussions and Q&A session today. We want to be doing this, and then you are already handling the platform that we're already building. So
yes,
what's
we
the
are
name?
planning to create a platform across our social media pages.
Correct.
And the topic, like the name of the page
Correct.
itself is just Property Talk Live.
Correct.
We'll discuss everything relating to properties here in Nigeria, in the UK, in the US, everywhere. Everything you need to know about those properties. We talk about prime properties that you can get for as low as it comes, and then there's a guarantee that those properties are going to appreciate in the years to come. In fact, you don't even have to wait up to like 10 or 5 years. In the next 2 or 3 years, you'll be getting like over 2 times or 3 times your investments on those properties. So we'll be talking about those properties and everything that has to do with real estate in particular, be it the documents, things you should avoid, things you should look out for, how you should make your own research by yourself, do your due diligence and everything. So we are going to be bringing it on that page. At the moment, we are still at the ground preparation, we're all putting things together, but by the time we are done with it, we are going to make an official announcement of the page, and then you all can subscribe, join us, and then tune in whenever we have the program on that page.
Absolutely, that's what we're doing. The podcast you're hearing today is all TD Studio Hub. Of course, like Mary said, it's going to be an opportunity for you, wherever you are in the world, to be part of this movement, this platform. And then if you are watching us, do not forget to subscribe, hit the button. You will be receiving notification. And then whenever we're going live for any niche, it could be property, it could be business, it could be even as a working class.
It's all related to property.
Exactly.
Business or money valuation.
Exactly.
And profit. It's all related to property. It's all related to real estate.
Real estate, exactly. So that's what we're talking about. You've heard from the horse's mouth. She's championing that, and we believe what we are doing this. People will say, why are we doing this? Because we realize that a lot of people buy out of ignorance. Ignorance is not an excuse in the law. Okay, so you need to be guided. You need to be properly guided so that you don't be the victim of this mistakes and the challenges. And then sometimes people will think that it's too complicated. It's not complicated. That's why we have people, a company like TD Home and Real Estate. And then, of course, you can always ask us questions. And then we're going to be having questions and answers. People could have opportunity to.
Yes, you can always, even after the program, while we are not live, you can always go under our posts and then drop your questions. Or we have our phone numbers on our page. You can inbox us on WhatsApp or other social media pages to drop your questions. So back to our questions. The next question we have here is how does one identify a trustworthy agent or developer? Because anyone can be an agent. In fact, even without getting your real estate license, anyone can be a real estate agent. As long as they hear that, okay, there's a land at this place, and they go, oh, if you can get me a client, I'll give you this percentage of money on it. To them, they're already an agent, as long as they're bringing somebody in. But how do you know a licensed agent? Because The way Nigerian real estate industry takes it is that even people that are not well educated and well trained call themselves agents.
Yes.
It's not something you can do in the UK or in the US.
Yes.
You're not allowed to sell a property or get involved in any transaction that's relating to properties, real estate, without being licensed
Correct.
by the government.
Yes.
But here in Nigeria, we have so many real estate. In fact, it's like a side hustle to some people. So how do you identify trustworthy agents and developers that are licensed?
Correct. Like you said, you've already, in fact, answered the question almost. In Nigeria and some other African countries, I don't know, but I can only speak for Nigeria because we have business in Nigeria and we all born in Nigeria before we had the privileges of accessing other world. So in Nigeria, for example, like I said, is unregulated. Okay, although there are still bodies or body like RIDAN, so that are in charge of real estate development, Association of Nigeria. Okay, so those bodies are the group of developers, architects, and then builders, real estate agents are together in that umbrella. So if, for example, you are dealing with a real estate company, say they have a company, so try to find out whether they are registered with RIDAN. You can as well go to their website to find out. Okay, so you do like a kind of fact check, profile them. Thank God for the world we are right now. So you can easily get information of whether be individual or companies via online.
You have so many search engines
Search
that
engine.
you can do your own research.
Exactly. So you can do research. There's nothing hidden on the face of the earth. Because if the person is bad, they might have done that same thing another person, and that person might have reported or probably say something concerning that particular individual or an agent. So, and then of course, if you're a victim, do not close their mouth. If they have ripped you off or they have taken your money and then disappear, you need to make comments, make it official, so that other people will not fall into the same victim. Okay, so now verify them, their office. Do they have office? Are they real estate agents? Okay, are they licensed? If it is a country that has license, for example, as Mary said, in Nigeria, they do not have license, but they have agencies or association that authorizes or regulates what their group or the members does. So no member will go against the codes.
Their compliance.
Compliance, exactly, the rules. So if it's an individual, yes, they still need to belong to those associations. If they don't belong to anyone, you can track their personal records by searching on their bio. Find out, put their name on the online space. So don't say you are in a hurry or you want to close the deal. Please do due diligence. Wherever you are, whether you are in Lagos or you are in Canada or USA, Canada or London, you can search for individual by going to Google or search through ChatGPT. You can get information regarding individual or find somebody to send somebody to go and verify if they have physical location. Are they a company? Do they have office? Or there's somebody just doing side hustle, like you say. Okay, so when even if they're doing, there's nothing wrong with that, but you should be able to know whether the integrity of that particular individual before you go ahead and put your capital into their bank account. So that's very important. And of course, they should show you the proof of the transactions or the projects. History of those that handle their properties, they manage their properties. Because this thing, the essence of you putting your money in property is to earn return on investment. ROI. So if you do not make returns, and then the person will take your money and then do other things that are not what you agreed with. So that's why you need to be very careful. So before you put down your money, do your own search. Send somebody to go and verify, do background check, to verify that you are the right hand. And then let them show you their hard proof of what they have done or who they are serving, and then the areas, and then see it go from even their bio sessions or social media. Are they talking about that thing they're selling? Or they are saying something and they're doing another thing? Yes. So find out, do they discuss about it like we're discussing to you now? We spend money to put this thing you are watching right now. So because we are passionate about it, we want you to invest right. We want you to know what you have not known, and that's why we're giving you this opportunity to listen to us and ask questions, and we'll be able to answer them. So those are the things you could be able to do. Personal due diligence before you invest.
Okay, so another question brings concern to most people
Yes.
is that there are cases whereby there are things that people should look out for while discussing with your developer or your agent.
Yes.
But people ignore these things, but probably because they feel like uh, it's not something they should be concerned with. So, what are those little mistakes or red flags that buyers should watch out for
Yes.
when dealing with agents or when acquiring properties? What are those red flags that they should watch out for?
Exactly. Very important information, question that you asked right now. Like inconsistent documents. If the document is showing Mr. Abdulaziz or Tochu, and then you have another one, maybe the survey plan is showing a different name, that's a red flag. So you need inconsistent on the names and all that. And then of course the year and all the sources, the survey plan, the tallies, those numbers. Every survey plan has a number allocated to it. So you check all those things. The size of the land or the plot. If you are investing through a developer, those documents, did they have approval to build the structures? Are the government aware? Do they got approval? The document they have a CFO, or do they have governance consent or deeds? There's also registered deeds. The registered deeds are the ones that have been registered by the government. So there are money paid for all those documentations. And then of course you have to find out on clear pricing. For example, people fall victim, which is very important. Let me point this out. People fall victim of a place that the value of that place is 100 million. And you see somebody giving you for 50 million.
And out of greed you agree to purchase.
Correct.
And that's like shooting yourself in the leg.
Exactly.
You already know that place has a very high value.
Yes.
And then due to should I say, I'll call it greed.
Yes.
On your own part.
Yes.
Because there's no way you want to buy something, this thing is worth 100,000 and then somebody's offering it to you for the price of 10,000 naira.
Yes.
You should know that there's something
wrong. Exactly. So some people go ahead and do that, and then at the end of the day, what you see is that the fall victim, they will lose that 50 million and also lose the capital investment, unfortunately, because that you went and bought something that that this price is ridiculous,
below the
normal price. So how did the person got that one? So that's very, very important. So if you are buying, please, if they tell you that this land or this house is 100 million, find out the neighboring place, how much the actual value of that place. We do that for our customers, our clients. Now, of course, the other way that you have to look is land under government acquisition. I think I talked about that.
Yes.
Free from government acquisition or non-government acquisition, dispute among families.
Yes.
I've already
discussed all of that are part of the red flags that
exactly.
buyers are supposed to watch out for.
Exactly.
So the main thing we're trying to say is whenever you're acquiring a property, be it land,
right,
off-plan properties,
yes,
from this building, whatsoever it is, as long as it's a property that you're paying to acquire,
yes,
you need to do just one thing, and that is to do your own research.
Research, correct. Do your research, verify, and then before you put that money into that account. This is important, like she said. Just like what he was trying, the question you asked me first regarding people who are not supposed to be selling properties,
yes,
or rentals. Like in other countries, like in the US or Canada, you must go to school, license and secure a license to be able to sell property, to become a rental.
There are people who go even to the university to study estate management.
Management, exactly.
So it's not for nothing.
Not exactly.
They are not just doing it because they want to, or there are no other courses that they can study in school.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why they put that course in the university for people to study.
Exactly.
So you cannot come outside. It's just like being a doctor as a profession.
Exactly.
You can't call yourself a doctor when you're not there are due processes. You have to go to school.
Correct.
Then you do your fellowship.
Correct.
You do your residency before your license
Exactly.
Even as a lawyer, you have to go to the school, go
Right.
to the law school, you
Right.
have to be called to bar.
Correct.
Even as an accountant, you need to go to school, get your professional license
Exactly.
before you're able um to carry out your roles as
Right.
per what you studied in
In
school.
the school.
So same as it's just the same in real estate.
Exactly. That's why, like you said, a lot of people are almost all over the place. I understand, that we want to make money, but please give opportunity to those who have went to school, those who have certified and got certificates,
Yes.
and then those who have companies, and then for those who are patronizing those that they are not, they know that these people are not qualified. Instead of, yes, they can earn income and commissions from those things, but give it to the right hand. So the right hand now, they will be among the team. In that way, your property or your investment is safe, and then the person that you want to benefit from it also benefits. But the security of your investment, and then investing rights and having return on your investment is more important than to satisfy one person, to your detriment. So those things are not something that somebody should be play with. So it's very important. You want to invest, you want to buy, whether off plan, whether to buy and own instantly, to buy and build instantly, or to invest and then it increases, or do land banking, where you buy it and lock it and it appreciates, you resell it. You need to buy it right. And that's exactly what we're discussing today.
Yeah. So as a first time buyer, because we have so many people watching us right now, and
Exactly.
then we don't know. There might be some people who have never acquired a property before,
You're right.
and then they are looking out for things. They are looking for things to watch out for
Exactly.
while acquiring a property.
Exactly.
So, what are the most important things that first-time buyers should know?
First and foremost is to what kind of property do you want to buy. If you know what you want, then it will be easy for you to look for where to give that. So now, when you know what you want to buy, for example, you want to buy 2 bedroom um, detached, I mean 2 bedroom apartments, okay, or you want to buy it semi-detached, maybe 4 bedroom, 5 bedroom. Probably you want to buy land, So you should be able to know what exactly do I want. So by the time you know what you want to buy, then you now look at the budget. How much does it cost? So now by the time you know how much it costs, you know whether the money you have in your bank account can it be able to afford that location or that particular property. If you cannot afford it, now you look for a location whereby you can buy that's still not developed, and then that within your budget. So the next other thing is to look for trusted professionals. These are important. I'm talking to you today. I did not just start talking about real estate. It took us long period of time as a company to be able to uh, go for school, learn the process, read the process, follow with the experienced experts in the industry, work with them for over decades before we start talking about the real estate. Some people want to start working or to even start running before they start working. It doesn't work that way. Everything in life have a process. You must follow the process in life. But the process is what we're talking about today. So if you don't want to follow the process, then it's likely that you might not be able to get to your destination. If you're in a hurry, this industry is not for you. Because property business is a long-term
And requires patience.
patience. Exactly. So you must be patient to be able to enjoy and have return on real estate. And then if you are working with an agent or real estate broker or a company that do not follow the due diligence, it's likely that you get into trouble.
Fall victim to these red flags that we
I
mentioned.
mentioned
About.
exactly.
So,
So
how can buyers protect their investment after purchasing? Because once you get a property, you acquire a land
mhm,
or a house,
mhm,
there should be things that they should know that they're supposed to do, or things that they should be aware of,
yes,
so that they can do to protect to secure their investment
yes,
after they purchase it.
exactly. Once you purchase, first thing is receipts. You have a receipt. Of course, before you make the payment, they have shown avail you with all the necessary title. So that title you are satisfied. And if you are not satisfied, please call your lawyer or your realtor or real estate agent who has knowledge or expertise on that fulfill, to verify those documents, to make sure that the documents are complete. There's none of it, whether from the family, whether from the present owner,
or even the government.
well, very important. Those are the key, um, um, layers that you need to verify. So once you do all of those things, now you can go ahead and agree with the payment plan. If it is outright payments, then you pay. Once you pay, let them give you your receipt showing the size of the land or the house. Even some will allocate instant allocation. For example, if you are working with an off-plan project, like the ones we have, some of them have instant allocation, meaning you buy now, you get your plot number, the location, everything will be given with your name to you. And then, of course, some will give you opportunities. So, some estates that has a common CFO, so you can individual can as well go and regularize to their own name. Okay, so some will have allocation plan. So what we call allocation plan, and then those allocation plan will contain the details of the bio of the owner of that property, and of course you have the survey, and then they will give you a survey copy of the survey plan. So those are the things you will be looking for. And then, of course, if the land was acquired by a family or acquired through individual, they will give you a copy of where and how much was paid, and then the family that issued those receipts. And then if the government sanctioned that particular property,
or there have been court cases on
the property. So all of those things must be known. It must be transparently known by the intended buyer before you go ahead and make payment. And then, like you said, there's a room for you to do due diligence and search, because all those things are available on the land register. So do not be in a hurry to acquire property without doing the due diligence. And if you need our help, we will be live, like we said, very said.
Yes, we are always available to respond to
Exactly.
you. Our DMs are open for you to send messages and comments or whatever advice and expertise you want at all.
Yes.
For properties.
Correct.
So that's that for today. And then we've talked about the red flags that people should watch out for when they're acquiring a property, how they should do their own research before acquiring the property, consult licensed agents that that are certified. You should do your own research and then make sure that you're talking to the real people.
Correct.
So if you get the property and then you've done your own research, you've done your verification of documents and everything, I know that it's secure. Another thing you should do is fence your land.
Correct.
Once you buy the land and you collected your documents, fence it, get all the property, the documents recorded. You have your soft copy, you have your hard copy, apply for the government consent if necessary. That's if you don't have before. Keep digital and physical copies of all the documents and then remain updated on the area development plans. Because even there's no how you get a property somewhere, they are always developing. Because as the year moves by, people will always want to build new things. There's no for every property you get, build property, they'll tell you, okay, this is the duration of this property. In the next 10 years or the next 20 years, you should be looking at the development on that property. So you should be updated on the areas and the development plan for that property. So thank you very much everyone for joining us on today's program. We really, really appreciate. Thank you for sparing your time and joining us. Yes, so
thank you.
On this segment of Property Talk Live.
Yes.
This is where we are going to put a stop to today's session, and the next time we are sure you'll be coming with these questions are actually supposed to be topics.
Right.
Because we are going to pick them one by one.
Exactly.
And then give you in-depth explanation on each question. Because if we begin to dive into this these questions one by one, we will spend so much time in. So on our next live session, we will talk about this. We'll pick a particular questions, especially the ones that people want to hear about the most. We'll pick it and then talk about it, give you in-depth explanation on these topics. So thank you very much everyone for joining this show. My name is Mary, your host for today's show, and with me here, co-hosting with me is Sister Tochi. Thank you very much, sir, for answering our questions, sharing your experience and your knowledge on real estate with us. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thank you.